On the evening of December 8th, CCTV's Xinwen Lianhua aired right on time. The announcer read out the familiar party bureaucratic cliches: a more proactive fiscal policy, a moderately accommodative monetary policy, seeking progress while maintaining stability, improving quality and efficiency. In the footage, there was no real scene from the venue, no close-up of any leader, only a single photo showing the written talking points. At the same time, clips of June 4th documentaries were spreading wildly on Douyin. Zhao Ziyang's line, "You are still young. I'm old, it doesn't matter for me anymore," was turned into captions. Wang Yang's famous quote was edited into cartoons. In the comments, someone directly typed 8,964, which of course was quickly deleted. At Nanchang's Bai Square, the streets were filled with police and plainclothes officers. Young people trying to film videos were stopped within a few steps, and their phones were confiscated on the spot. Inside Beijing's Zongnanhai, the Politburo meeting was trying to pull the economy back from the cliff with proactive fiscal measures. Online and on the streets, another China was expressing something else. "We don't believe you anymore." Don't miss the next drop. Subscribe and hit the bell. Who was missing from Zongnanhai's economic meeting? According to Xinhua's press release, though the timing was abrupt, the December 8th Politburo meeting carried the same predictable high-level rhetoric, analyzing and studying the economic work for 2026, stressing continued implementation of more proactive fiscal policy and moderately accommodative monetary policy, strengthening countercyclical and cross-cyclical adjustments, stabilizing employment, markets, and expectations, and ensuring a good start to the 15th five-year plan. Reuters and Singapore's Lianhe Xiaobao quickly followed with interpretations. This signals continuation of the 2025 loose fiscal plus loose monetary path, high deficit ratio, expanded local special bonds, room for RRR and interest rate cuts. In essence, another round of throwing money to prop up an economy that has clearly lost speed. But those familiar with Chinese politics know, the biggest takeaway in such meetings is often not what was said, but who didn't appear. Australian commentator Jiang Wangzheng claimed on his program that two key figures were missing again. Li Shi, Politburo Standing Committee member and secretary of the CCDI. Ma Xingrui, Politburo member and former Xinjiang Party secretary. The 530 Task Force. Anti-corruption or internal struggle. The real explosion of public imagination centers on the so-called 530 Task Force, linked to Ma Xingrui. Ma's old subordinates in Guangdong questioned, cases forming a chain. According to Jiang Wangzheng and several overseas sources, Ma Xingrui's close subordinate during his Guangdong tenure, Liu Yinxing, has already been held for questioning, allegedly tied to a series of corruption cases linked to Ma's years in Guangdong. From November 2013 to December 2021, Ma held positions including Deputy Party Secretary of Guangdong, Secretary of the Political and Legal Affairs Commission, Party Secretary of Shenzhen, Vice Governor, Acting Governor, and Governor of Guangdong. Meanwhile, Liu Yinxing served across the CCDI branch in Guangdong, Guangzhou CCDI, and Shenzhen CCDI, rising to Shenzhen Party Standing Committee member and CCDI Secretary. He retired only in 2024. His deep, overlapping ties with Ma make him one of Ma's key subordinates. Another commentator, Liege, claimed the chairman of CCC, Shan Yongbao, who disappeared more than a month earlier, was also implicated. A private equity fund under CCC in Shanghai allegedly paid Ma's daughter and Chen Weijuan's daughter annual salaries of 600,000 renminbi and 400,000 renminbi for no-show positions, salaries without actual work. These claims cannot be confirmed by official channels, but they outline a shocking structure. A super-corruption network connecting Guangdong, Xinjiang, Zhejiang, and Shandong, with Ma Xingrui and Chen Weijun at the center, possibly extending upward to Politburo Standing Committee members and downward to multiple state-owned enterprises and private funds. 530 Task Force, 51 vice ministerial officials implicated. Jiang Wangzheng further claimed, the Ma Xingrui case is internally code-named the 530 Task Force, led by CCDI First Deputy Secretary Liu Jingguo. The investigation reportedly involves 51 officials at the ministerial and vice-ministerial level, including at least one Politburo member and possibly a standing committee member. CCDI Secretary Li Shi, originally overseeing anti-corruption, has been asked to step aside because his wife was allegedly tied to 4 joint investment projects in Hong Kong with Ma's wife, Rong Li. Properties owned by Ma Xingrui, Chen Weijun, and Rongli in Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen have reportedly been searched, and Hong Kong properties are being targeted next. Another self-media commentator claimed that Xia Belong, director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, and Chen Quanhua, former party secretary of Xinjiang, were both dragged into the case, allegedly because they shared a pair of mistress sisters with Chen Weijun. These stories are dramatic, but cannot be verified. Commentator Zhang Feng said, if the 530 task force is real, then this is not an anti-corruption campaign. It is a new wave of internal purging. On one hand, she needs to take down Ma Xingrui, the modern Hushin, to show the public that anti-corruption is intensifying. On the other hand, he must carefully handle Li Shi and Xia Baolong, his own allies, to prevent the power structure from shaking too violently. Regardless of the truth behind these claims, one outcome is already clear. With the economy facing enormous difficulties, the decision-making circle is still being disrupted by internal investigations and power struggles. The Qinglang cracked down on negative sentiment. Young people respond with Tiananmen footage and memes. Since late September, China's Cyberspace Administration launched a 2-month Qinglang, rectifying malicious negative sentiments campaign, explicitly targeting content such as reading is useless, hard work is useless, and pessimistic worldviews. The well-known creator, Hu Chunfeng, saw his account wiped clean without explanation. Zhang Xiefeng, the famous motivational educator, was restricted from gaining new followers and criticized by state media for needing self-reflection. But as the crackdown escalated, Douyin saw a surge of tower-charging content. Students cycling with red headband from a June 4th documentary clip, saying, "This is my responsibility." A silhouette of Zhao Ziyang comforting students. "You are still young, I'm old. It doesn't matter anymore." Comments included the number 8964. Scenes from the animation Boonie Bears overlaid with Wang Yang's quote. "Pursuing happiness is the right of the people. Making the people happy is the responsibility of the government. We must abandon the false theory that the people's happiness is bestowed by the government." These videos were quickly removed, but screenshots, re-uploads, and memes began multiplying. The more forbidden a memory is, the more it returns in the form of gung, internet jokes. Memes as a new language. Hiding, if they can't do it, replace them between emojis. On December 6th, a photo of a food delivery worker injured in a traffic accident went viral on Douyin, drawing tens of thousands of likes. In the comments, many users openly curse people's daily, asking, "Do you understand how today's situation came to be?" Just days earlier, on November 28th, CCTV and Meituan released a video glorifying delivery riders as having the freedom to enjoy the scenery, ignoring their exhausting, dangerous working conditions that evade censorship. Users began inserting emojis between sensitive sentences. For instance, the widely shared phrase, "If they can't do the job, replace them." Stop tormenting the people at the bottom, with emojis breaking the phrase just enough to fool automated filters that in this environment. Memes have become a tool for expressing real emotions while avoiding censorship. Xi Jinping talks about drawing the sword, while Xinjiang media says, "Don't cut the internet cable." On November 28th, the Politburo conducted its 23rd collective study session on strengthening internet governance. Xi Jinping emphasized establishing long-term governance mechanisms, cracking down on internet chaos, severing benefit chains, and building a clean and upright cyberspace. Yet at nearly the same moment, a short video from Bengal media in Xinjiang went viral nationwide. This state-affiliated local media outlet took the opposite stance. The video argued, online platforms are an important channel for the public to express their opinions. Some officials suffer from public opinion phobia, treating legitimate online complaints as hot potatoes. They want to cut the internet cable and cover the people's mouths. But ignoring problems doesn't make them disappear. We are here to solve issues for the people, not silence them. When the people speak, officials must respond. This is how we defuse conflicts at the root and make the internet a bridge between officials and the masses. Given the current political climate, many interpreted this as a gentle rebuke against Beijing's harsh unified crackdown. It suggests that even within the system, some officials understand simply drawing the sword against netizens will not solve an economic downturn or growing social anxiety. Which prince was using drugs? A new law ignites a powder keg at Bai Square. The real chill running down the central political legal system's spine may not be memes, but a seemingly technical legal revision. 1. Sealed drug use records. Public outrage explodes. The new Public Security Administrative Punishments Law, set to take effect early next year, introduces a sealed records system, stating that certain violations, including drug use, will be sealed, not disclosed to any organization or individual, and only accessible during investigations. German media noted this as meant to prevent minor offenders from being stigmatized for life. But many Chinese netizens worried it would reduce the cost of drug offenses and serve as a loophole for elites to wash away their records. An official Douyin account, Non-Tung Culture and Tourism, commented under the topic, "Which young master used drugs?" This hit a nerve instantly. The implication was clear. People suspect this law is designed to protect some princeling. The account gained millions of followers overnight. Another case where telling the truth ironically leads to viral fame. CCTV rushed to publish an article insisting that sealing records does not mean condoning drug use. But in the eyes of many, this looked like damage control. True trust had already been shattered the moment someone asked, "Which young master used drugs?" 2. Nanchang Bai Square. From posters to semi-lockdown. After the announcement that drug use records would be sealed, some netizens spontaneously called for an anti-drug gathering on December 8th at Nanchang's Bai Square. This terrified local authorities. According to posts circulating online, on December 7th, universities in Nanchang and nearby areas suddenly conducted dorm inspections and head counts. Students were told, no leaving campus tomorrow, especially not to Bai Square. From early December 8th, the area around the square was placed under traffic control, with large numbers of police and plainclothes officers patrolling. Those who attempted a live stream of the square were intercepted almost immediately. Their phones were confiscated on the spot. Local authorities took extraordinary measures to prevent what they feared could become a student gathering. Even Navy housing families in Shanghai are protesting. If Bai Square represents a prevented student movement, the clash at a Navy family housing compound in Shanghai's Hongkou district reveals another fracture. The conflict between military families and the military establishment. Videos circulating online show. On December 5th around 9 a.m., a confrontation erupted at a Navy residential compound. Anti-riot, equipped soldiers, neighborhood committee staff, property management, and protesting residents clashed. At one point, a stampede occurred. A woman shouted through a speaker at shield-bearing soldiers, "You young soldiers, don't become accomplices and scapegoats for corrupt officials. Defending the rights of military families is defending your honor." The next day, a resident brought police to her sealed home. They broke the nails blocking the door, only to find the apartment had been cut off from water and electricity, and all appliances, fridge, AC, TV, washer, had been removed. For many, the most jarring image was not the clash, but this. Families of soldiers, people who symbolized defending the homeland, stood there shouting at soldiers in riot gear for their basic rights. That IT is almost a perfect microcosm. On one side, a power structure treating soldiers as tools of stability maintenance. On the other, military families fighting desperately for minimal welfare and housing rights. In the middle, a government that increasingly treats people as costs. From the Ma Xingrui case to Bai Square, a hidden thread. Putting these fragments together reveals a faint but unmistakable pattern. 1. The upper level. Rhetoric cannot conceal political instability. No matter how loudly the Politburo repeats proactive fiscal policy, external observers focus instead on who among the Standing Committee and Politburo showed up, who did not, how far the Ma Xingrui case reaches, whether the 530 task force could trigger a purge-style political storm. Commentator Jiang Feng notes, with the economy already nearing beyond salvation, Xi Jinping still pours energy into internal purges. This will only intensify fear within officialdom. No one dares or make decisions. If anti-corruption becomes a tool for political struggle, ordinary people will ultimately pay the price. 2. The middle level. Qinglang cannot suppress systemic anxiety. The Qinglang campaign targets negative sentiments like studying is useless and hard work is useless. This implicitly admits something. Systemic anxiety has already penetrated nearly every young person's life through the internet. You can erase Hu Qinfeng's account and restrict Zhang Xiefeng, but their followers will say the same things under someone else's posts. You can remove the name Zhao Zhang, Wang Yang, and June 4th from textbooks, but but you cannot stop them from reappearing as memes and scrolling across Douyin. The Xinjiang Binglan video resonated not because it was eloquent, but because many already know the real reason public opinion becomes explosive is not because citizens talk too much, but because someone only wants to cut the internet cable rather than solve the underlying issues. 3. The bottom level. From memes to the streets, stability costs are soaring. Both the semi-lockdown at Bai Square and the fierce protests of the Navy family compound point to the same truth. When policies are suspicious from the moment they are drafted, like the sealed drug use records, the public no longer accepts this is for your own good, but instinctively asks, which princeling is this protecting? When even military families must take to the streets shouting, don't be accomplices of corrupt officials, the basic trust within the system is being hollowed out piece by piece. For Xi Jinping, this means every political action now requires a higher cost of stability maintenance. Holding an economic meeting requires calculating security risks. Revising a law requires preventing student gatherings. Demolishing a housing complex requires deploying riot police that a country in such a state is walking on the edge of collapse. Can money buy back trust? In a sense, the December 8th Politburo meeting wanted to send a simple message. Don't worry. Next year, we will continue to expand fiscal spending and loosen monetary policy to revive the economy. But outside the meeting hall, society sees a different picture. Senior officials are being investigated. Explosive rumors are everywhere. No one knows who will fall next. Online negative sentiments are treated as the enemy. Young people use memes and jokes to speak the truth. On the streets, campuses, and military housing compounds, any hint of unrest triggers extreme stability maintenance measures. Money can temporarily prop up numbers, GDP, infrastructure investment, local fiscal gaps. But it cannot buy back trust. Trust in the legal system. Trust in institutions. Trust in the regime itself. Whether the 530 task force becomes a true anti-corruption storm or merely a new wave of purges. Whether the sealed record system and the public security law will be revised. Whether Bai Square becomes a new sensitive landmark. None of these questions have answers yet. One thing, however, is certain. When the leadership increasingly relies on armed force, investigative task forces, and censorship to respond to an increasingly anxious society, an economic meeting is no longer about the economy. It becomes a stability maintenance meeting aimed at temporarily holding together a system that is cracking. And history has reminded us again and again, what truly determines the fate of a regime is often not the economic report it publishes, but the very voices it tries hardest to label as negative sentiments.